Well, good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the take for Market Rebellion. This is take two because we had a little bit of an issue and hopefully we're coming through nice and clear now. Yesterday, we looked at the way that the Dow was trading. The Dow had a nice start, sold off, rallied back and rebounded, only just to sell off over the last 3 hours of the day. It actually did finish in positive territory, but just barely. The NASDAQ, on the other hand, accelerated and held on and it's had some very, very nice gains yesterday, about 80 points to the upside. Crude still hanging around that 66. We got Bitcoin after being extremely volatile, a little less volatile yesterday, and still pretty solid, trading right near that 39,000, 40,000 level, which is definitely off of those lows of 31,000, but still significantly off that 60 plus thousand that they had traded at near those highs. So we're still keeping a very close eye on this because that seems to be one of the areas of the marketplace that's having an influence on the rest of the markets. Volatility index absolutely gotten crushed. Now we're back down into the 17s, finished the day around 17 and a half. We had some great volumes yesterday, back in that 30 plus million. We were at 33 million contracts yesterday. So even with that volatility just coming out at a very, very rapid pace, I think the VIX was down something close to about 6 or 7%, maybe 8% yesterday. So a lot of different things that are going on within the market itself. You've got energy that performed pretty nicely. Consumer discretion, you can't say enough about how well this has been in terms of a trade. And that's led by names like Tesla and Nike and Target and TJ Maxx and those type of names that have actually been sort of lifting that side of things. In a lot of cases, we're talking about having an influence on the NASDAQ itself. Ford. What can you say about Ford in this unbelievable run to the upside and the electronic vehicle market, the excitement people have over the Lightning as well as the Mach and everything else that's going on with Ford right now? A lot of excitement. And I got to point out, we have had some unbelievable option activity. On May 20th and May 21st, we had the June 14 calls getting bought. 43,000 one day, trading around 20 cents. Another 65,000 the next day, trading up to about 30 or 40 cents. And now today we're looking at Ford once again, just spiking to the upside. And those options now are trading closer to $1. So an unbelievable run of late for Ford. I want to point out a couple of other things as well. Williams-Sonoma. This one's really, really interesting because they absolutely crushed their numbers last night. Stock was ripping to the upside. And now we're seeing a pretty volatile session. And the last time I looked, we were actually in negative territory. When you look at where this name was at the start of the year, you look at the graph and you see the charts. I'll tell you what, it's been on an absolute tear to the upside. And yet it seems to me, looking at the PE levels and so forth, seems to be a very, very fair value still. So this is one of those that has grown into where it is right now, despite the fact that that stock feels like it's gone almost straight up. Another name that definitely was pulling on the markets, at least, or pushing the markets to the upside yesterday, Peloton. Peloton had a great day yesterday, and so we got to acknowledge that. It's up about 10% yesterday, so certainly a pretty strong influence right there with a couple of the other names that are pushing onto the NASDAQ. So we talked about jobless claims. Jobless claims fell again, fourth week in a row, and this is another pandemic low. So obviously, that's certainly going to be something that people are going to be focused on and looking at, and that's influencing the markets. Certainly, when we look over at the Dow in the pre-market up about 150, it's continued to accelerate and basically holding right around that up 200, up 225 sort of a level since we started to open on the opening itself. And it's been a really, really interesting move to the upside. Industrials, financials, definitely powering the Dow right now. NASDAQ a little bit just sort of scattered right around that flat area. We've been down about 30 points. We've been up about 30 points. The last time I looked, we were up about 10 points on the NASDAQ and starting to lift. It looked like maybe to the upside a little bit more. Volatility still holding on as it was yesterday, but a little bit lower now in the low 17s. Could expect to see some 16s probably today if we keep this up. And then you look over at Bitcoin. I said we've lost a lot of that volatility. The last I looked, basically, Bitcoin was almost where it was. It was about 40,000 last I looked, or at least very near to that level. Energy, materials also contributing today. So we are seeing a pretty nice strength there. Now, it was technology a little bit early on moving around as far as the NASDAQ's concerned. The SMH was off a little bit. So the semiconductors, that was off about 1%. That's come back off of those lows And that's why we were seeing the NASDAQ start to move from negative back in towards positive. A lot of that, obviously, some of that trade looking right at NVIDIA. And they had absolutely an incredible earnings call last night, but looks like people maybe backed off, at least initially, because of the fact you look at where the PEs are and a lot of different variables, maybe a resting point right now. We'll see. Obviously, those numbers last night were absolutely extraordinary for NVIDIA. So I did mention Ford. How about GM? It's not just Ford. We're seeing GM as well. And GM having a pretty decent day. They're talking about restarting. They're talking about after the chips shortage, they look like they're starting to get things going once again. That stock up about 4%. So it's not just Ford. You're looking at Ford, you're looking at GM, both having a very, very nice couple of days, specifically with Ford. But today, GM looks great. So I've got a couple of unusuals, and then we're out of here. So Boeing. Stock was trading right around 250. We talked about the industrials being one of the areas that was moving to the upside. Boeing certainly is one of those names within the industrial space that's having a really, really nice start to the day. So when the stock was trading about 250, we had a buyer of 5,000 of the June 4th. So it gives you a little bit of time. You've got all of next week. And obviously next week, we got Memorial Day on Monday. So it's a shortened week, but you got till next Friday. Those options were going for about 320 all the way up to about 480. And as I mentioned, 5,000 of those 250 strike calls. CLF is my next one. CLF, talk about the material space as well. And it's an area I love, energy materials. I continue to see all of this unusual option activity day in and day out. CLF's trading right around 1950 at the time. We had a buyer of 2,000 of the August 23 calls. Those were going for about $1.40 to $1.45. So seeing that in the material space certainly does stand out, because we've seen just about every name that you can imagine in the material space over the last month or so. We're talking about Freeport, we're talking about Alcoa, Nucor, all of these various names. And I still think, as we've seen that, there certainly is something behind that in terms of the direction that most people feel that we are going in that material space. So this, once again, just sort of validates that with CLFs. Guys, we still got some tickets available for our virtual event. We have a full life. We sold out in Vegas for the live, but virtual, those are going for about $400 tickets. It's going to be in Vegas. It's going to be really, really exciting. We got a great lineup of speakers. I would encourage you to take a look, maybe click on it and take a look at all of the different speakers and what it looks like for that multiple days of this conference. It's going to be a great conference. We always look forward to it, and we love going out to Vegas. It's always a great time. So I would encourage you to take a look at that as well. Folks, have a great day of trading. I will not see you on the half. You will see me tonight on the 5 p.m. Fast Money Show with Melissa Lee and the gang. So I'll see you then.